describe it is that it's transitions. You're making a transition from one major phase of life into another. And that's difficult for a lot of people to do. The first step in the process is to break away from the thing that you've been doing. And we call that first step breaking from your career or profession. In a way, it's kind of like letting go of that past life and moving on to the next thing. We use the analogy of Tarzan swinging on a vine. That progress is only made by Tarzan going to save Jane from the clutches of a lion or an alligator, is by grabbing one vine, swinging on it, grabbing another, but the most important part is to let go of the first vine in order to keep momentum going. It's that letting go that people often have trouble with. And so we have a whole series of ways, activities, and exercises that can help to make that happen.
And so when we feel as though with the client's agreement that they have reached a spot where they can break comfortably, we go into the second phase. And this one is also uncomfortable at first because it calls upon people to do what they don't often do. And that is become very introspective and reflective. So what we find is that people like to move forward. The only way people feel productive is if they are quote unquote doing something. And being introspective often doesn't feel like doing anything. It's about being. So we call upon people to really sit with themselves and do some homework assignments that we give to them, ask questions of other people about who they are, and really get to know and get back in touch with who they are as a person. We know all too well from many, many years of working that you are following some other company's dream and their vision and their goals and their strategies, and it's very easy to lose yourself. So we ask people to really get back in touch with who they are as a person, and that seems as though it might be fun for folks, and oftentimes it is very frustrating because it requires skills that they don't feel that they have.
There's an analogy about how making a change or a transition is a lot like crossing the road. The break that I just spoke of before was stepping off the curb, and what you're talking about now is being kind of in the middle of the road before you get to the other side. No one really wants to stop in the middle of the road. It's actually a little dangerous. And so much less sit down in the middle of the road and stay there for a while exploring yourself and repurposing yourself after so many years of being purposed by an organization.
Right. Well, what's interesting is that while people are in retirement, friends and neighbors will say to someone, "So, now that you're retired, what are you doing?" And a retired person doesn't really want to say, "I'm in the productive phase, and so I'm really being rather than doing." That's just not a socially acceptable answer, and yet it's absolutely critical.
Well, the third phase is making a fresh start. So you take all of the work that's been going on with the breaking from career or profession and all of the discovery that went on during taking a productive pause and start to test things. During that productive pause, we try to get as many options for what a person would want to do as possible. So get those out, and those options must meet some criteria that a person has set for themselves regarding what their purpose is. So it's not just throwing options out; it's options that are very particularly connected to their purpose. And then start to try them. So it's more of a experiment sort of time, and then sort of narrow it down to a place where there's maybe 3 or 4 top things that I can do, and keep at it, keep testing those things. But one of the fears about making that fresh start is that very first step in the water, because it's really uncomfortable. People are often feeling like a fraud when they start out making that first fresh start in the new thing that they're trying. And that feeling is so uncomfortable that people will often give it up. And our job is to keep coaching, keep pushing, keep urging, and hear the feedback and talk about the little obstacles that may get in the path.